Hi, I'm Patu from freefincal. Today let's talk about how mid-cap mutual funds have performed with respect to Nifty Midcap 150 and also Nifty Midcap 150 Quality 30 Index. The Quality 30 Index is a factor-based index I talked about recently because we now have a index fund option from UTI. So for those who are new to this Quality 30 Index, I would suggest you go check out that video or article. So this Quality 30 Index basically it's a way to choose what is known as quality stocks. Well, that's an arbitrary definition, as I argued early in the previous video. But let's find out how actively managed mid-cap funds have done against Quality 30. So the Quality 30 Index basically gives weight to higher profitability, lower leverage, and more stable earnings. So basically they take into account three factors: return on equity, debt to equity, and the last 5-year EPS growth variability. And that's the definition of quality, which I had talked about is arbitrary, but still let's find out how that has worked. So we will be talking about the rolling return outperformance consistency. So we will be talking about every possible rolling returns, that is every possible 3-year, 4-year and 5-year returns between 1st January 2013 to April 2022. And let's say there are 876 3-year returns, and out of those 876 returns, the fund has outperformed the benchmark 675 times. Then you define a rolling return outperformance consistency score as 675 divided by 876, or about 77%. We will look for a rolling return outperformance consistency or 70% or more, because of the higher fee that the actively managed fund demands. It cannot be 50%. 50% is basically like a coin toss, either this way or that way. 60% seems a little low for the fee that they charge. So I thought 70% would be a reasonable demand. So let's get to this. So first, let's compare active mid-cap funds between with respect to Nifty Midcap 150. That's the market capitalization weighted index. Now, many people assume that it is very easy for active fund managers to beat the mid-cap index, or it's very easy for them to pick good stocks in the mid-cap universe, also in the small-cap universe. We'll talk about small-cap funds later. But if you consider the performance with respect to Nifty Midcap 150, as of April 7th, 2022, there are 23 mid-cap funds, and only about 6 of them have a rolling return outperformance consistency of 70% or more over 5 years. That's just very, very poor. I mean, only 6, and one of them is actually quite new. So it's basically effectively only 5 funds have outperformed. The other one is too new to consider. Over 5 years, there are only 5 out of 22. Let's say that's just quite poor. Now, if you consider over 4 years, it's again 5 out of 24. Not the same 5. I think there's a small change. 1 or 2 funds would have changed. You can look at our monthly screeners to find out. Please don't ask me what those 5 funds are, because knowing what those 5 funds are is not going to help you much, because the list will keep changing. Now, over 3 years, again 5 out of 24 funds qualify. Again, there'll be a small change in 1 or 2 funds. That's just an awful showing. If you ask which of those funds have performed well over 5 years and 3 years and 4 years, then you only have 3 funds. 3 out of 22, excluding the new one. That's just poor. When you are looking at a Nifty Midcap 150, it is not even a factor-based index. It's just market capitalization weighted. Obviously, if you look at the Quality 30, things are going to get worse. So over 5 years, only 1 out of 23 funds or 22 funds have a rolling return outperformance consistency of 70% or more. That one fund is new. That's the new one. So it's effectively 0. so 1 out of 23, and that is new, and that's gone. Over 4 years, 2 out of 24, and both of them are young relatively, I mean, compared to the others. Over 3 years, 1 out of 24, and that's a young fund. So basically, all the old funds, the established funds, have not been able to beat the Nifty Midcap 150 Quality 30. Even with respect to Nifty Midcap 150, only a few funds have managed to outperform the benchmark consistently. That's just very, very poor performance. Now, it's very important to understand these results do not represent the superiority of the quality factor. Please don't misunderstand it. These results only tell you that the active human management, the human element is inferior compared to a set of fixed rules. And that's just very, very poor compared for, because they would charge heavily for active management of a mid-cap fund. So now, what does this mean? Does this mean I can switch from an active mid-cap fund to a mid-cap index fund? You can do this, but you need to be a little bit cautious, because if you consider a fund like Nifty Midcap 150, there are 150 stocks, and I have shown earlier that this leads to large tracking errors. Then you have this Axis Nifty Midcap 50 index, and amusingly, the Nifty Midcap 50 index consistently underperforms the Nifty Midcap 150 index. So there's no data as of now for us to, compelling data as of now for us to choose the Axis Midcap 50 index. We don't recommend any ETFs, certainly not in the midcap space, because of liquidity issues and price now deviations. Please stay away from all ETFs, particularly in the midcap space. So what then? What will you do? Now, there are two options the way I see it. If you are comfortable with factor investing, there are certain problems in factor investing. There is an article which talks about data mining, written by an expert who wanted to be anonymous, who in the index construction, there's a lot of data mining. They cherry pick data. If you cherry pick factors, cherry pick the construction of the factors and so on. So if you are if you don't like this idea of data mining, I should have said that way. If you are not comfortable with the way they have chosen the quality factor and the fact that there could be data mining involved, then the best option, the way I see it, is Nifty Next 50 in terms of a simple market capitalization based mid-cap option. I had already talked about why Nifty Next 50 is not a large cap fund. If you are comfortable with taking a chance with the quality factor, then you can certainly consider UTI Nifty Midcap 150. You can consider it over Nifty Next 50 as well, if that's okay with you. I mean, you can certainly definitely consider it. There are risks here also because of the way in which the index is constructed and so on, but you can certainly do it. So stay away from all active mid-cap funds. Stay away from mid-cap index funds. That's the mid-cap 150, mid-cap 50. Either you choose the Nifty Next 50 or you choose the UTI mid-cap quality 50 factor, but both of them have their own risks. Of course, if you have an existing mid-cap fund, you can take a individual basis. I mean, some funds may be performing well, some funds may not be performing well. You have to decide with respect to at least Nifty Midcap 150. You have to decide whether it is justified for you to stay invested, and do you have the faith for it to beat this fund. But then the problem is, when you have the quality midcap index available, does it make sense? But of course, there are risks everywhere. You are taking a risk by staying in an active midcap fund. You are taking a risk buying a quality midcap index or buying a Nifty Next 50. Which of those risks appear reasonable to you is what I can ask you to question. You have to decide what you have to believe in. Because it's a leap of faith. See, I can only tell you the past. In the past, that's happened, and based on this, you have to make the call. But the future, everything can be very different, and that's a problem. It's uncertain, but that's life. I mean, you have to accept and embrace that uncertainty. For somebody of my age, I'm nearly 48, I would not choose a mid-cap index. Therefore, I'm not buying the mid-cap quality 50 index fund. But had I been younger, I will certainly choose the quality 50 index fund as an option. That much I can tell you. I have certainly chosen a low volatility index fund from UTI because of the same reason. I believe in low volatility, and for my age profile, that is a better bet than mid caps. Had I been younger, I probably would have chosen the quality 50 index. That's all that I can tell you.